Hello, hello, hello. Happy 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November 2018. I don't really partake in. I will watch the fireworks and things, but I don't really partake in the whole thing because, of course, it's really at the root of it. It's remembering the horrible persecution and deaths of a group of people, 400 whatever years ago, because of their religious beliefs. So, not something I really partake of, but if I've got time, I'll go to a public display or something and have a hot dog if I can afford one. I've got the. Can I hear the music? Can you hear the music? Handel's fireworks music just for today. So I do think about all sort of stuff is connected. Anyway, this video will be going up on my own personal channel, which is TheStruggleUK. It'll also be going up on the Rhyl People's Assembly YouTube channel, which I also administer and am a member of. Because what I'm going to talk about today is which is Monday, is sort of interrelated topics for both groups, both organisations. Bit of housekeeping to begin before I start on the main topic. It's related though. The Rhyl People's Assembly, members of it, including myself, will be outside our local job centre in Rhyl. I think it's Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure. Depends on the weather as well. If it's peasy down, we'll have to switch to whichever other day, because there's no cover, and no one stops if it rains anyway, because why would you? So yeah, protesting against universal credit and the harm it's doing, protesting against benefit sanctions, because people forget that. I think with all the news about universal credit, people forget benefit sanctions are still happening. So if you're on universal credit, you're getting that. The problems with that, plus benefit sanctions, which obviously is not good leading up to Christmas. I know, I've had that myself a couple of years back. So we'll be doing that, and also handing out leaflets, hopefully, to tell people where to go locally for help, i.e. the CAB, Benefits Advice Shop, things like that. So that'll be this week. So hopefully we'll have a video up around the weekend, next weekend, of how that went, and maybe some talking heads if we can get a few people to tell us their story. We've been doing this for a long time now, more than a year. Started with benefit sanctions, and then when universal credit rolled out here, we sort of just kept going with that as well. So if you look back at a few videos on my channel and the People's Assembly channel, you'll see videos of us protesting benefit sanctions and universal credit earlier this year and last year. So that's one of the items of news. The second one is the People's Assembly in Rhyl will also, at some point next month in December, we're going to be doing a sort of a public meeting, hopefully of local groups and anyone else who wants to turn up, which is basically about we need a general election meeting. So anyone that wants to come, if you'd like to come to that, please do. Don't have the exact details of exact dates and times yet, or where. Well, we know where more or less, but not exact dates and times. That's still to sort of be arranged. But I'll let you know in next week's or the week after videos that I do. I'm going to try and do these every Monday. Try and upload them on the Monday, but it might be the Tuesday, Wednesday. So, because I'm a bit short of time myself. So that's that bit of housekeeping and news out of the way. So that leads me on to the main topic for today, which is related, which is that as soon as I finish this video, I'm going to be signing on to or applying for universal credit myself. Goody. I've got a number of friends who are on it. I managed sort of September last year because I started a year-long Masters in Social Policy, I managed to avoid being transferred onto Universal Credit, which I was about to be with everybody else during the summer just gone, early summer just gone, in Rhyl, which is the first phase rollout. So that's people who are signing on and stuff, or signing on for a new would be signing on to Universal Credit, basically. If you're going to sign claim ESA anew, you'd have to claim Universal Credit. So things like that. So far, but I managed to avoid it. I had all the meetings and the group. They called them group signings, where we'd all have to sit there, probably 15, 20 of us, and listen to all this stuff about how to manage our money. I mean, do me a favour, in the job centre and all this nonsense, because that's the problem, we're not managing our money, what your money, but anyway, all box ticking from their point of view. So yeah, dodged that at the time. Still kept protesting past that point, as I've been in uni and that, and obviously speaking to people all the time who are on it locally, and friends of course who are on it, and obviously following the news and everything about Universal Credit. So yeah, now that my course is finished, I have no choice. I've got to do it. I have no income now. Hopefully for me it'll be a short stint on it, because my plan is, as soon as we're a month or two into the new year, is to carry on in university academia and start my PhD, which should hopefully lead to lecturing and teaching. So finally a paid, more secure paid position, I hope. And also, I'm not signing on. But this is the nature of, I'm afraid, where I live in Rhyl. I was thinking a few hours ago how many years, I was trying to work out how many years growing up in Rhyl, since from the age of 14, how many years collectively I've been out of work. So what I mean by that is unpaid and out of work and having to sign on. And I think collectively, it was 28 years since I left school in 1990, and I reckon collectively over that period 16, 17 years looking for work and having to sign on. And I've been through all the different regimes. I mean, it was YTS when I left school, so that was just after Thatcher was toppled. So that was straight into the major sort of government. So right at the beginning of the major government, I started with YTS, which was a supposed training scheme, work placement. It was a massive exploitation of young people, basically. So I've had it during major. I've been unemployed during Blair's, sort of height of Blair's time in office, and now the coalition, and now the Tories. So I've basically had a taste of all of their slightly different approaches, and they've all been a waste of time. I mean, before I started this course in September 17, I'd basically been signing on job seekers allowance for over 3 years, and I'd completed my 2 years compulsory attendance on the work programme. If you don't know what the work programme is, it's a rehash of what I have had all the years and all the different sorts of different governments and things. It's a standard scheme where they pay a for-profit, usually large resourcing company like Capita, etc., to take you on and do the job that the job centre used to do Basically it's public money into private pockets. These companies are usually owned by their mates, the Tories' mates, or they've got shares in them. There's all sort of different levels of ownership of these companies. And the deal is, and it's always the same deal. It's always the companies get paid for progress they've helped you make. So it's always training, under the guise of training, or helping you afford the costs to overcome the small barriers to get back into work with sort of clothes or a CRB. They don't call them CRBs anymore, but all this nonsense. And of course, in reality, it never happens, because you go on the bloody thing, and because they're there to make profit, the first thing they don't want to do is spend money on you, because they spend the money up front, and then theoretically, if you've done what the government, if they've done the things the government want them to do, which is usually pretty lax to recover, they get the money back. So they're not going to spend out first. I mean, I remember on when I started the work programme in 2000, 15, 16, I'm not sure, something like that. I was offered a job with as a teaching assistant by a recruitment company in Chester. All I needed was the security check that they don't call the CRB anymore. I forgot what it's called now. But I needed a full one. You get like a normal one, you get like an enhanced one. It was an enhanced check. And it was 45 quid. I didn't have 45 quid. They were supposed to pay for this 40 quid. They would not do it. By the time they actually did it, because I wouldn't let it go, I think it was 4 months after I'd been offered this, 4 or 5 months. So I was desperately trying to keep them still keen to have me, while trying to get these bastards to spend the money they're supposed to be spending. 45 quid to get this criminal records check, and obviously by the time I actually got it, months later, I wasn't wanted. They found other people. This is sort of stuff. It's a scam. It's a total scam. So that the government can print in their sort of public records that they've employed all these companies and all this sort of. I mean, even at the time when I did it, the Work and Pension Select Committee and reports going from them and reports going from independent charities and stuff showed that this was a massive waste of public money, as it always is. I mean, I did all this under when Blair was in power. In Stafford, same thing. It was exactly the same. So to be fair, this didn't start under the Tories. This started under Blair. This sort of work programme nonsense, paying private companies, for-profit companies, for your training. And of course, what that means is all of the stuff the job centre used to do, and the staff in the job centre used to do, has been completely removed from them. You go into a job centre, they don't help you look for work. That's not their job. They don't help you train to do stuff you need to do. That's not their job. Used to be when I first, in the early 90s, when you go into a job centre, you go in there and you'd look at the boards, because there were like cards on the boards, and you'd say, I found this. You go to the desk and say, I found this job. Can you tell me a bit more about it? And they'd usually give you an application form or a phone number, and you could phone there to phone the actual person that was advertised the job. They'd help you with a bit of training if you'd like. They'd help you go and get interview clothes, like a suit or tie and shirt and things. They actually did what you think a job centre would do. That's not been the case for years anymore. In fact, when I used to go in before the course under the Tories, I didn't know who to feel the worst for, me or them, to be honest, when I was at a desk, because they looked suicidal, a lot of them. So yeah, I wouldn't want to work in a job centre, to put it that way. I mean, they were literally just ticking all day, box tickers. They go and in the morning, they'll see the list in front of them. They'd have to do everything on that list, all the people on the list, see them tick the boxes on the computers, and that's it. So that was it. That's the extent of their job. They're civil servants, paid civil servants. That's it. Tick boxes because a private company is doing your job for you. and getting paid for it. And of course, the people being employed by the private. I mean, when I was there, the 2 years I was there with this company, they must have switched. They call them job coaches. They must have switched advisors, coaches 5 times. I must have had 4 or 5 in 2 years. Because of course they're the same as me. They're usually people who have been looking for work, taken on there, promised all this sort of stuff. At the end of the day, paid sod all, treated like morons, no sort of rights, and so they either just leave or they pushed. You know, they closed the office that I was going to after the first sort of 6 months in Rhyl without any warning, so they could save the money because it was quite a big office. So they decided they wanted to save the money basically because they were a for-profit company. No warning, no nothing. Shut it down, told us all to shut it down as it was being shut down, and then told everybody in Rhyl, which was the majority of the people going to use the service, they'd have to catch the train or bus to Flint every single bleeding week. Well, and pay up front, which is why I ended up getting constantly threatened with sanctions. I was threatened 5 times in 6 months towards the end with sanctions, the start of the sanctions process, because I couldn't afford to get there. I kept saying to them, I can't afford the 14 quid each time for the train fare or whatever, or the whatever it was for the bus fare, out of my, what was it, £74 a week? You know, work out. No, it wasn't. It was 74. Excuse me. Yeah, about £74 a week to live on. That's everything. And they wanted me to pay 14 up front, which just isn't possible. They knew it wasn't possible, didn't care. They take the thing, you haven't been there, you haven't followed instructions, basically. You see, you can get sanctioned. People who don't know about this, who've never been to, what they're told is you're sanctioned for refusing a job, or, you know, you have to do something really heinous to be sanctioned. Not at all. The reality is, you can be sanctioned so easily like that. Refusing to obey a suggestion or I don't want to say order, but you know what I mean. Refusing to obey what your job coach tells you to do can and does result in sanctions. You know, so if you're being told catch the train to blah 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 every week or every other week, and you've got to pay up front and you can't, a little button's ticked on the computer screen, you didn't attend, sanctions. And this is why so many people get sanctioned. You know, you don't fill in what you've done for your 30 hours mandatory. What is it 30 hours? 30 hours, 35 hours, sorry, a week mandatory job search or looking for work sort of thing in detail. You're sanctioned. Now that might sound easy. I defy you to try and prove you've done 35 hours job search a week, every week, month after month, without fail, often year after year if you're living in a place like this, without being threatened or sanctioned. Unavoidable. So anyway, I'm now going to see what universal credit's like. I have a taste of that, hopefully not for too long. Hopefully I'll be able to sort out funding and everything else for start my PhD next year, early-ish next year. But for now, I'm back at square one, which is a familiar feeling, unfortunately. You know, so never make the mistake. I'm sure most of you don't, but some people do. Never make the mistake of thinking if you're signing on, you're some sort of, I don't know, layabout moron, or I don't know. You know, I mean, I want to make clear that 3 years I was signing on and not in paid work, the whole 3 years I was virtually working full-time voluntary at the CAB, at multiple different things, CAB, community work, our local credit union, benefits advice shop, anything I could do that I thought I'd be able to help with, especially using my knowledge from the law degree that I'd done before. I had to come and sign on. I did get a job after law school. Left law school in 2013. 4 months unemployed. Eventually got a graduate job in Chester for Lloyd's Banking Group in their regional office, in their PPI complaints department, which was absolutely horrible and impossible to keep because it was targeted and no one could meet the targets. So, if you're lucky, you managed to hang on for 6 months to a year, but after that, you were gone. You were burnt out, to be honest. Which is what happened to me. The stress was just horrendous. Just trying to keep the job. And again, that was pittance pay. That was, it was nothing. It was 15 grand a year for an undergraduate job in a bank. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, all the travel from Rhyl to Chester, forget it. The stress was stupid for that one. So unfortunately, that's what led me back onto JSA. So anyway, here I am. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm assuming it's going to be 6 weeks. If I'm lucky, maybe a week less, maybe 5. To be honest, and this is a thing that always drives me crazy, is this sort of 6 weeks, 5 weeks headline figure for universal credit and all these MPs and always isn't it awful and whatever. Shows how much attention they've been paying, because on job seekers allowance it was always 4 weeks, 5 weeks then. Nothing. They've added a week on or something. They've added 1 or 2 weeks on. It was always, you're always waiting a month at least for any money at all. But of course it didn't seem to care then, did they? All these so-called MPs who now really, really care about us on both sides. Jeremy Corbyn cares about us. John McDonnell cares about us. A lot of the Labour MPs that support them care about us. But unfortunately, there are a lot of Labour MPs and councillors who are still in the Blairite mindset, who couldn't give a flying fig. They have to say they do, but they couldn't give a flying fig. I know. Believe me, I know. But anyway, we do, which is why we're here. So anyway, I think that's it. So yeah, wish me luck. I wish you luck if you're on it. All the best, and enjoy bonfire night, unless you hate bonfire night, in which case I hope the night passes quickly, relatively quietly, and look after your animals, look after your dogs and cats and birds, who of course don't like all the noise. And I'll see you on the weekend maybe with our video from our universal credit campaign. So ciao for now, comrades.